the first pass that I make is to look at the first yes/no question about the appropriateness of the paper for the section. As Karen said, when we made decisions on the reviewers, assigning reviewers, the section chairs very quickly look through the title and also possibly the abstract to see if it is appropriate. And for example, in the last couple of days I've received about 6 or 7 or 8, or I think maybe it's actually 11 proposals that other chairs, section chairs, have said, well, this really doesn't belong in our section, it belongs more in research and theory. And so we've done that first pass, but the second pass is what you decide. And so if you say no, especially if there's more than one of the reviewers that says no, then I will need to review that proposal, and if indeed I agree with you as a reviewer that this really isn't appropriate for our section, I will then send it to Cindy, who will then send it on to the appropriate section chair so it can be reviewed. So that's kind of the first pass. The second pass then is for me to look at the total score. Now, as Karen said to you, the cutoff is 18. And so the first way to think about cutting off which proposals are getting rejected and which are being accepted is to use that score of 18. 18 and above appear that they'll be accepted. Below 18, 17 and below would be rejected. And so that's the first kind of way of making a cutoff. We're looking, of course, for the mean score of the 3 reviewers. So even, as Karen mentioned, even if you reviewed it and say, let's say you gave it a 16, another reviewer may have given it a 20, which would bring it up, and then if the other one gave it a 21, that would pop it up a little bit over 18. So generally speaking, things below 18 will be rejected, but I'll modify that in just a second. Those well above 18, like maybe 20, 21, I can usually assume are probably going to be acceptable papers. Those that are like 16, 15 and below, I can generally accept that those are going to be rejected, papers that we're going to need to reject. But then I'll also look at those that are very close to 18 or are right on 18. The mean scores are around 17, 18, 19, somewhere around there. And I'll look at each of the reviewers' scores. So for example, if I get a lot of variety, one reviewer giving it a 10 and 2 reviewers giving a 20 and 21, then that 10, of course, has pulled it way down. And so I'll have to then go in and make a review myself or send it to one of my executive committee members and have them give a quick review also. So we give greater scrutiny to those that are right on the break-off and looking for discrepancies among reviewers, and in many cases we'll have to read them and then make a decision as to whether I should accept them or whether I should reject them. All right, I do have some reviewers I can turn to and all of that, and we do use some of those reviewers to help us make those decisions. The third thing I have to do, once I've now narrowed it down to all those papers and posters and symposia, roundtables, workshops, and so forth that have got acceptable scores, is I then have to divide them into sections. What Cindy will send to me, based on the number of proposals that we receive, she divides up the total number of sessions among each of the sections, and I will get assigned a certain number of sections that I can put papers, symposia, workshops, roundtables, that sort of thing in, and a certain number of allocations for posters. So then I have to try to put these all together so as to fit and fill the sections. If papers, then I try to put all papers together that are on the same theme. For example, I may have 4 or 5 papers all around the issues of divorce and impact on children. And so I'll try to put all of those papers together in a paper section if that's what the authors requested, was a paper session. If they requested poster, then I will try to possibly put a bunch of posters that together that might be on the same topic. For example, again, divorce and impact on children. And most of the authors requested poster, then I may put all those together so that as an attendant, you'll be able, as an attendee, you'll be able to go and look at all of these papers together at a poster session and talk to all of the authors there in the poster session.